When time and reality begin to blur, dark secrets hidden behind the door of room 207 start to unravel. Aimee, a student who never imagined getting trapped in a time loop and messages from the future, must confront horrors beyond her wildest dreams. Will she solve the mystery before it's too late?
It was a Thursday night, and the campus was unusually quiet. Most students had gone home for the long weekend, leaving the dorms almost empty. Aimee, a 21-year-old psychology major, chose to stay behind to finish a research paper. She liked the silence, it helped her think. Around 11:46 p.m., her phone buzzed. One new voicemail. No missed call, just a voicemail. Puzzled, she pressed play. Static. Breathing. Then, a voice, her own voice, hoarse and panicked. Aimee, if you get this, listen. Don't open the red box. Please, don't let it out. You can't stop it once it starts. The message cut off. Her blood froze. She hadn't sent any message to herself. Her hands trembled as she replayed it, hoping it was some kind of joke. But the voice, it was hers. Slightly older, more desperate. She opened her call log. Nothing. No outgoing or incoming calls. Aimee tried to dismiss it. Maybe someone hacked her voicemail. Maybe it was an AI prank. But deep down, she knew something felt wrong. The voice wasn't distorted, it was real. She glanced across her dorm room. Everything was normal, except for one thing. A small red box sat quietly on her desk. She didn't remember owning it. Aimee approached the box slowly, her mind racing. It was no bigger than a lunchbox, made of aged wood and painted red, with strange black markings that looked burned into the surface. No hinges, no keyhole, just a thin line where the lid met the base. She hovered her hand over it, cold. Not just cold, freezing. She recoiled instinctively. Her rational mind screamed that this was nonsense. Objects don't leave voicemails. Time travel doesn't exist. Yet, here it was, a voicemail from herself warning her about this very box. She didn't know how it got there. She didn't even know if it had always been there. She called her roommate, Jess, who had gone home. No answer. Then she did what any modern student would do. She Googled. Red box warning. Voicemail from future self. Unfamiliar object appeared in room. Nothing credible. Some Reddit threads. Urban legends. A few people claiming to hear voices from future selves before tragic events. But no real proof. That was when her phone lit up again. Another voicemail. No number. She pressed play, heart pounding. Same voice. Hers. Don't let curiosity win. Don't open it, Aimee. I'm trying to stop it. I'm trying to save us. The message ended with a horrible sound, like metal scraping bone. Aimee dropped her phone. The box was now slightly ajar. The box now sat across the room, partially opened. She hadn't touched it, but it had shifted slightly, as if it had moved by itself. Her instinct screamed to throw it away, burn it, anything to erase its presence. But something deeper whispered otherwise. Curiosity, fear, a strange pull she couldn't name. As she stared at the box, sudden flashes of memory surged into her mind. Images that didn't belong to her, or at least, not from this version of her life. She saw herself screaming in a mirror, blood running down her arms. She was in a hospital room, restrained. She saw a figure standing at the foot of her bed, faceless, whispering something backwards. She heard ticking. then screaming. She gasped, snapping back to her senses, drenched in cold sweat. These weren't dreams. They were too vivid, too real. Like stolen memories from another timeline. The voicemail. The box. The memories. They were connected. She turned on every light in the room and grabbed her journal, desperate to write down what she saw. As she scribbled the details, the pen began to move oddly, her hand cramping, the ink forming symbols she didn't recognize. She dropped the pen. Then her phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. Same unknown source. But this time, the voice wasn't hers. It was a low, gurgling whisper. She keeps opening it. Unable to bear the silence, Aimee left her dorm and walked across campus. The night was damp, the air heavy with fog. She didn't know where she was going, anywhere but there. But every time she passed a reflective surface, a window, a glass door, even puddles, she saw her reflection watching her, not matching her movements exactly. Sometimes it smiled when she didn't. She stopped outside the campus library, its large glass entrance catching her reflection in full. Her reflection stood still while she moved closer, head tilting slightly. Then it blinked, but she hadn't. She stumbled back, heart pounding. Her phone buzzed again. No voicemail this time. Just a single photo message. It was her, in her room, standing over the red box. But she hadn't taken that photo. She wasn't even there. Panicking, she ran back to her dorm. When she entered, everything was the same. Except her mirror. In the mirror stood another Aimee. Pale, eyes sunken, lips moving silently. Aimee backed away from the mirror, but her reflection remained motionless, staring with empty eyes. The red box in its hand pulsed faintly, glowing from within like it was alive. Then her reflection smiled, lips parting to reveal something black and writhing inside its mouth. The lights in her room flickered. She turned around, and the real red box now sat open on her desk, fully open. From it, a faint hum vibrated through the air, a low, unnatural frequency that seemed to make the walls breathe. Then, the room shifted. One moment she was in her dorm, the next, she stood in a different room entirely. The air was thicker, darker. Shadows clung to the corners like oil. The box sat in the middle of the floor, but now it was huge, nearly coffin-sized. Someone stood beside it. Aimee, but not her. This Aimee wore a hospital gown, hair ragged, face bruised. She looked at the real Aimee and whispered, "You broke the loop." "What loop?" Aimee asked, voice trembling. "You're not supposed to open it. Ever. You opened it again. Every time you do, it gets stronger." Then she vanished. The room cracked like glass, and Aimee was back in her dorm. Aimee froze, barely breathing. The sound beneath her bed wasn't imagined, it was real. A soft, wheezing exhale, followed by a faint scratching on the wooden floor. She leaned over the edge, slowly, heart racing so hard it echoed in her ears. Darkness. Thick, unnatural. Then she saw it. Fingers. Thin, pale fingers stretching out from under her bed, twitching. They weren't human. The joints bent wrong. The nails were black and jagged. They pulled back just as quickly as they appeared. She jumped up, grabbed her phone, and turned on the flashlight. But when she looked again, nothing was there. Shaking, she reached under the bed. Her hand met cold metal. It was the red box. Closed again. She grabbed it and locked it in her wardrobe. Then she barricaded the door with her desk. Sleep was impossible. She sat curled in her blanket, trying to stay awake. Hours passed. Then her phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. This time, her future self sounded weak, like she'd been crying. "Don't let it in. Not again. The mirror isn't a mirror anymore. It's a window." Her phone's screen flickered. The background photo changed. Now it showed her room. Only she wasn't in it. Something else was. The next day, Aimee skipped all her classes. She couldn't focus, couldn't think. The dorm room felt wrong, as if it had a pulse of its own. Every crack in the wall, every flickering shadow, seemed to be watching her. She avoided the mirror. She didn't dare open the wardrobe again, even though she knew the box was still there. But something was changing. The shadows in her room began to stretch unnaturally, even when no light source shifted. They slithered across the floor like ink in water, wrapping around furniture, disappearing into cracks. Aimee kept all the lights on. Even during the day, her room stayed dim. At night, she heard knocking, soft, rhythmic, from the wardrobe. Always 3 knocks. Then silence. And sometimes, whispers. She recorded one of them with her phone. When she played it back, there was no knocking, only a voice. "You opened it too early. Time hasn't caught up yet." She played it again. This time, the voice continued. "You let her see you." Aimee felt sick. That night, she dreamed of her future self, older, bruised, with her mouth sewn shut. She kept trying to scream. But only blood came out. Aimee awoke screaming. The dream had been too real. Her lips still felt sewn. Her jaw ached. When she looked at herself in the mirror, carefully, cautiously, it didn't reflect right. There was a delay, a fraction of a second, enough to terrify her. Then, the red box was back. On her bed. She never took it out of the wardrobe. Taped to it was a note. It read, "This is the last chance. Close the loop." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were old photographs, hundreds of them. All of her, but not from this life. Different versions of her, different times, different injuries. One with burned arms, one with hollow eyes, one strapped to a hospital gurney. And at the bottom, a VHS tape. She didn't own a VCR, but something told her she needed to see it. As she held the tape, her phone rang. Blocked number. She answered. Her own voice again, but broken, desperate. "If you see me again, don't trust me. I'm already gone." Then silence. The mirror cracked on its own. Aimee didn't move. Because the version of her in the reflection smiled first. Aimee sat in the old student lounge on the basement floor, where she remembered seeing a dusty, unused TV-VCR combo. No one else was around. The halls upstairs were too quiet for a weekday. She slid the VHS tape in and hit play. The screen filled with static, then flickered to life. Aimee. Her face. But different, older, worn. Her eyes hollowed, like someone who hadn't slept in years. She sat on the floor of a room, this room, but with walls scratched and symbols drawn in blood. Video. Aimee spoke, her voice cracked and desperate. "If you're seeing this, you opened the box. You heard the calls. That means it's already inside you." Aimee felt bile rise in her throat. Video. Aimee continued. "They say time is linear. It's not. It loops. It breaks. I've been through this so many times, and each version of me ends worse than the last." She leaned in toward the camera. Her eyes gleamed. I tried to burn it. I tried to die. But something always brings me back to this moment. The voicemail is a hook. The mirror is the door. Suddenly, on the tape, the door behind video Aimee opened slowly. She turned and screamed. Static. Then black. She ran back to her dorm. The VHS tape in her bag felt like it burned. Her skin itched where it touched. She threw it onto the floor as soon as she got back and slammed her mirror with a towel. But the mirror wouldn't crack further. Instead, it rippled. As if it were water. Her reflection stepped forward. Not literally, but it moved independently, breathing heavily, staring directly into her. Then, it spoke. You've gone too far. There's no undoing it. Aimee staggered backward. What are you? Her reflection smiled. I'm the version that made it out. But I lied. I didn't escape, I adapted. You will too. Then the lights flickered, and her reflection changed. Suddenly it wore different clothes, bruises along its neck, teeth blackened. No more messages, it growled. No more warnings, only choices. It raised its hand. Aimee's real hand stayed still. I'm coming through. She screamed and threw her chair at the mirror. Glass exploded. But behind it, only darkness. No wall, no backboard. A hole. And from inside came whispering. Dozens of voices, all saying her name. The dorm's walls began to shake. Lights dimmed, then popped one by one. Smoke poured from the hallway. Alarms stayed silent. Aimee crouched in the corner, phone clutched to her chest. She tried calling 911. No signal. The voicemail app opened itself again. One new message. This time, it was just static. Then a voice whispered, "If you want to survive, complete the loop." She didn't know what that meant. Was she supposed to send a voicemail now? To herself? She opened the app and pressed record. But nothing came out. Her throat tightened. No words. Only sobs. Suddenly, from the broken mirror hole, two pale hands emerged. Clawed, twitching, searching. She grabbed the red box again, not knowing what else to do. It vibrated in her hands. She opened it one last time. Inside was a phone. Old, cracked, glowing red. It rang. The screen said, "You." She answered. Her own voice again. "Send the message now, while you still can." Aimee held the glowing red phone tightly. Her fingers trembled. She pressed the record button. There was no script, no guidance, only instinct. "I don't know who I am anymore," she whispered into the device. "If you're me, and you're listening to this, don't go near the mirror. Don't answer the calls. Destroy the red box if you still can." Static interrupted her voice, distorting her final words. The screen pulsed, then glowed green. Message sent. For a moment, everything stilled. Then, behind her, the sound of heavy breathing. She turned slowly. Aimee's own face, standing in the darkness. Her reflection, but no mirror. Just air, and eyes full of rage. Too late, it snarled. It lunged forward. Aimee screamed, dropping both phones. Her vision blurred as something icy gripped her ankle and dragged her into the mirror hole. She fought, scratched, clawed. But it pulled her deeper. Just before blacking out, she heard the voicemail app ping. Another message had been received. "No up. no down. Aimee floated through thick air, like being submerged in invisible tar. Time didn't exist here. She heard voices. Her voice. Laughing, screaming, whispering. She saw flashes, versions of herself, some dead, some running, some trapped in endless loops. One with her eyes removed, weeping blood. One burning. One silent, curled in fetal position. Then a light, dull and red. The glowing red phone drifted toward her. She grabbed it. A new voicemail played automatically. Version 14. You've made it past the breach. That means the box accepted you. You are the anomaly. Aimee tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her lungs were filled with silence. Only one of us can escape, the message continued. Only one can become real. The others must be erased. Aimee shook her head. I don't want to erase anyone, she mouthed. But then, one by one, her other selves began to vanish. Dust, ash, silence. She was falling. Back toward the mirror world. Back toward a choice. She was back in her dorm room, but it was different. The walls were slightly off color. Her desk was reversed. Her phone had no messages. She gasped. Did I escape? She checked the red box. Gone. The mirror, still cracked. But not shattered. Then a knock on the door. 3 times. She opened it. Aimee stood there. Another version. Identical, but bleeding. I failed, the other whispered. But you don't have to. You can finish it. You can send the message to the first. End the loop. Aimee trembled. But what happens to you? The other smiled, tears in her eyes. Erase me. I'm already lost. Before she could respond, the mirror pulsed again. A countdown appeared on her phone, 0 hours 0 minutes and 10 seconds. She had 10 seconds to choose. Send the message, or let the loop restart. She pressed record. I'm Aimee. I don't know how many versions of me are out there. But if you're hearing this, stop the mirror. Stop the box. Bury it. Burn it. Never open it. She hit send. Everything turned white. Nothing. Aimee was surrounded by pure white space. No walls, no floor, no sky. Just infinite whiteness humming with faint electricity. She walked. Her footsteps made no sound. She didn't know where she was, or when. Then, ahead, she saw a chair. A single wooden chair in the distance. On it sat her. Older, tired, with silver in her hair and sorrow in her eyes. You sent the message, the older Aimee said. Good. Aimee's lips trembled. Who are you? Which version? I'm the last one left. The original. I created the box, Aimee. I tried to destroy it, but I failed. So I made the loop. I sent the first message, to myself. The younger Aimee shook her head. Why would you do that? The elder stared blankly. To delay the end. To test every outcome. Hoping one version, any version, would be strong enough to break it. Aimee looked at her hands. Did I? The elder smiled faintly. You're the closest. But you have one final choice. The chair vanished. A mirror rose behind the elder. In its reflection, dozens of Aimees screaming, trapped, pleading. Break the mirror, the elder said, and free them. Aimee stepped forward, raised her hand. The glass trembled. She struck it. It cracked. Then, shattered. Darkness rushed in like a wave. Aimee awoke on the floor of her dorm room. Sweat-drenched. Gasping. It was morning. Birds chirped. Sunlight filtered in. She sat up, slowly, and checked the mirror. No cracks. No voices. No box. Just her. One reflection. Normal. She picked up her phone. No red app. No voicemails. Her fingers hovered over the home button, unsure. Then, a knock. One knock. She jumped, heart racing. She opened the door, expecting another version of herself. Instead, it was Jules. "Hey," Jules smiled. "You okay? You look like hell." Aimee laughed hard. She pulled her friend into a hug. "I'm okay. I think I'm finally okay." Later that night, Aimee sat at her desk. She opened a blank notebook and wrote one word: closure. She placed the notebook inside a small box and locked it. The red phone would never return. The loop was broken. But, as she turned off the lights and climbed into bed, her voicemail pinged. "You have one new message." Aimee stared at her screen. The voicemail app had returned, glowing faint red. She hovered over the message. The date said, January 1st, 2049. Years into the future. With trembling fingers, she hit play. A broken voice whispered, "If you're hearing this, it means I failed." Again. Don't trust the silence. Don't believe the loop is over. It only changes shape. Burn the notebook. Burn everything. Don't let version 0 find you. Static. Screams. Then silence. Aimee's heart pounded. She looked to her desk. The notebook. Still there. She grabbed it and ran outside, barefoot, into the cold air. At the edge of the courtyard, she lit a match. The notebook burst into flame. She stared at it as ash flew into the night. Suddenly, behind her, a mirror shimmered in the grass. Someone stepped out. Another her. But this one wasn't like the others. Its face was blank. Emotionless. And it began walking toward her. Aimee backed away slowly, barefoot on frozen grass. The figure that stepped from the mirror had no eyes. Just smooth skin where features should be. It wore her face, but twisted into nothingness. "No," Aimee whispered. Version 0 tilted its head. "You don't belong," it said in a voice like static. Aimee ran. She sprinted toward the forest behind the dorms, the cold biting her feet. Her lungs burned. But she could feel it behind her, matching her every step without sound. She ducked into the woods. Branches clawed at her arms. Blood dripped. Still, she ran. Then, the forest stopped. She found herself in a clearing. In the center stood the wooden chair again. On it, a phone. Red. Waiting. She approached it slowly, knowing what it meant. Aimee picked it up. The message played automatically. "If you're here, then the mirror is open," her voice said. Version 0 escaped. It was never supposed to be released. Aimee turned. The blank figure now stood at the forest edge, unmoving. "I tried to destroy it," the voice continued, "but it's part of the loop. You can't erase it. You can only trap it again." Aimee looked around. She had nothing. No box. No help. Only the phone. And the chair. She sat down, took a deep breath, and hit record. Aimee's voice shook as she recorded. "This is Aimee Fenton, version 13. I'm leaving this message for any of me still out there." She glanced at the figure in the trees. I'm in the clearing. The mirror is open. Version 0 is here. I don't know how long I have." She paused. "This is what you need to do. Listen carefully." She detailed the trap, how to lure it, the symbols that appeared in her dreams, the ones that kept it weak. As she spoke, the figure stepped forward. Closer. She kept recording. "Place the mirror in the ground. Use the notebook ashes to draw the sigil. Then, play this message backward through the red phone." It was steps away now. She looked at the phone. At her reflection. No fear in her eyes, only calm. "I don't know if this will work," she whispered. "But if you're hearing this, maybe I gave you a chance." She dropped the phone. It hit the ground just as version 0 lunged. White light exploded around her. The world went blank. Jules stood in front of Aimee's dorm room. She knocked. No answer. Inside, everything was untouched, except one thing. The mirror. It had cracked, in a perfect spiral. Jules touched it. A low hum filled the air. Her phone buzzed. One new voicemail. She frowned, opened it. Aimee's voice came through, garbled, distorted. "Jules, if you're hearing this, I don't have much time. Version 0 found me. I'm trying to reset the loop." Her voice cut out, replaced by static. Then words. "Burn the mirror." Jules stumbled back. Then, without thinking, she picked up the mirror and threw it out the window. It shattered on the ground below. In that instant, the phone went dead. Silence. Then a faint breeze blew through the room. Lightness. As if something had lifted. Jules stood in the quiet. On the floor lay Aimee's notebook. She picked it up. Inside, one page. Handwritten. "Dear Jules, if you found this, I broke the loop. I hope. Keep it that way. Signed, Aimee."
Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you again. Bye bye.